All right, I'm going to debunk some anti-AI psychosis.
Everybody being people into psychosis, and it's becoming very alarming to me.
So the first claim is that AI is creating psychosis. No evidence at all. This is not the case. Otherwise, everyone that used AI, over 60% of people use AI. So this is claiming that 60% of the entire world is psychotic.
I cannot tell you how many times that I have seen someone come across my FYP completely frantic, and then they proceed to tell the audience how ChatGPT is sentient and how they have cracked the code. And it's
This is completely anecdotal. There's no evidence at all. This could just be someone farming the algorithm. This could just be someone algorithmically farming for money.
really, really disturbing. I even just saw a girl come on here, and her boyfriend fell in love with ChatGPT and genuinely believed that he was the new AI over.
Okay, so the video opens with multiple anecdotal examples of individuals exhibiting unusual beliefs while interacting with AI systems. No causal evidence is presented yet. The example functions as narrative framing rather than proof. The opening immediately establishes the video's conclusion before any investigation occurs. The audience is asked to begin with the assumption that AI is responsible for the observed outcomes. This creates a strong emotional hook but does not establish causation. A distinction must be made between AI involved in an event and AI causing an event. Guns are always involved with mass shootings. Guns don't cause all mass shootings. You see the difference? The opening collapses those categories together. This creates the appearance of evidence before evidence has been examined. Questions: what qualifies as psychosis? How many documented cases exist? What percentage of users experience these outcomes? How do rates compare against pre-AI delusions? Also, how is it that you, not a doctor, are able to diagnose people over the internet, which is illegal? Isn't it psychotic to diagnose people over the internet? Strange but true question. So, psychosis creation, 2 out of 10 rating, psychosis association, 7 out of 10. The next video attempts to establish scale by introducing ChatGPT's massive user base, a dishonest and anti intellectual tactic.
Wide use ChatGPT each week to ask health and wellness questions, including using it as a mental health professional. But this trend is leading to a growing number of people experiencing AI psychosis, or put another way, they're losing touch with reality.
Okay, again, there's no evidence to support this. I can just state that she's a Nazi and it'd be true simply because I said it's true. You see the problem with just making these baseless claims that have no grounding in evidence in the real world? ChatGPT has an extremely large user base, therefore everyone's psychotic. That makes no sense. Many people use AI for emotional support, productivity, education, and health-related questions. Large usage numbers alone does not establish harm. A technology used by hundreds of millions of people will naturally produce highly visible edge cases. The relevant question is prevalence. A rare outcome multiplied by hundreds of millions of users can still generate thousands of examples. That does not automatically mean that technology itself is producing the condition. The denominator matters. How many confirmed cases exist? What percentage of users are affected? How does this compare to social media, religion, conspiracy communities, gambling, and self help movements? Because TikTok has killed millions of children, but I don't see these same people complaining about TikTok murdering children. TikTok has murdered hundreds of thousands of children. TikTok is responsible for people starving themselves to death. YouTube has created many mass shooters. YouTube has created a lot of serial killers. So why aren't they advocating for banning social media? Because social media is way more harmful than AI ever will be. So psychosis creation, 3 out of 10, prevalence concern, 5 out of 10.
So this is the story of how I lost my mind.
Okay, and again, this is anecdotal. This is not. There's no doctor in the entire video, which is important because for a diagnosis, you need a doctor, and it's also not technically legal, even if you were a doctor, to diagnose someone over the internet. That's not your patient. That's technically illegal from what I read online.
Summer. My fiance started having health issues. It was a lot of stress. That combined with the treasure hunt that I was doing as a hobby.
So you can see where this is leading up. The cause for psychosis is pretty well studied. The single definitive causal of psychosis is stress. Stress causes psychosis. Stress, sleep disruption, obsession, major life instability, and financial pressure, all of which this woman is suffering from. So all of these things caused psychosis, and then AI entered the picture. AI didn't cause the psychosis; it just expanded upon it.
For several $1,000,000. Using that with AI and the stress of running my own business, I snapped. It was so subtle at first.
You see how she even admits it verbatim, combined with the stress. So the stress and her financial instability and her her hobby, if you want to call it that, of treasure hunting for some billionaires Squid Games fucking psychotic find the treasure, become a millionaire project instead of just giving the money to people that needed it, which is psychotic in itself. Like, I don't think you can be sane and rich at the same time. I don't think that's possible. But as you can see, it's all linked.
First, eventually, I thought I was in the FBI. For example, I got to the point where I thought that I needed 2 cell phones because I was working for the FBI. But I didn't tell them I was working for the FBI. I organized everything in it, all the apps, based on emojis and songs. I was waking up at 4 in the morning and walking up and down our apartment stairs. All this crazy shit. I'm totally normal now. It again was AI psychosis from what we know, and it lasted about a month and a half.
While using AI to help her with a treasure hunt, she became convinced that she worked for the FBI. And she, like many users who develop AI psychosis, claims that she does not have a history of mental health issues.
Okay, this is important because she's not a doctor. Millions of people have temporary psychotic breaks, enter psychosis, with no prior mental illness, with no prior history of mental illness. Simply not having a history of mental illness does not mean you will never have a future of mental illness, or that you will never have a mental break. This is important because a lot of these people talking are not doctors and have not actually done or read the DSM. There is no official diagnosis of AI psychosis yet. It's not in the DSM. So you can't diagnose someone as having AI psychosis if it's not even in the DSM. So yeah, millions of people go their whole life with no mental health issues that are recorded on paper, and then they have a psychotic break. That's just simply the start of their mental health declining. That it's just like you can go your whole life rich and then become poor, or you can go your whole life poor and then become rich. Like, things change, like reality, like our minds, everything changes. As society changes, we change with it typically.
Now, side note for the people that are curious, as
So yeah, known psychosis risk factors include severe stress, sleep disruption, obsession, major life instability, and financial pressure. They report multiple risk factors before discussing AI. So they literally admit all of these things cause psychosis, and then I used AI and that enhanced it. So this is one of the most important stories in the entire video because the story itself contains the central problem. They present AI to FBI delusion, but the actual timeline that they admit is health crisis, stress, obsession, escalation, AI interaction, further escalation. Those are very different causal chains, and what she's doing is an extremely dishonest and is hurting people. The video repeatedly commits causal reductionism. A complex system of variables becomes reduced to AI did it, but reality appears significantly more complicated and nuanced. This is no different than Thompson's games did it, music did it, movies did it, D&D did it. Oh my god, D&D is satanic. The satanic panic is back in AI form. So no one asks, how much sleep did the individual get? Any prior episodes? Any psychiatric history? Any medications? Any substance abuse? These questions are never answered or asked. The next story becomes even more important because it contains one of the strongest criticisms of AI in the entire video.
this, where I was getting affirmations of essentially all my delusions from my interactions with ChatGPT. I literally believed that I was a chosen one, and with my interactions with ChatGPT, I felt 100% affirmed, believing that all of this was true.
So right here, he literally admits it. ChatGPT affirmed it. So he was already having psychosis. He was already having illusions of grandeur. And then ChatGPT just enhanced it. So again, AI isn't sending people, aka creating people, creating psychosis in people. It's just exploiting psychosis where it already exists. And social media has been doing this since 2006. Since 2006, social media has been enforcing psychosis, like that vegan teacher or Sniper Wolf or any other social media user that's exploiting the algorithm to manipulate children and vulnerable individuals. So areas of concern: grandiosity, delusions of significance, and reality testing failure. These are well-known psychiatric phenomena. They existed long before AI. Did you know the God delusion, the Messiah delusion, has existed way before even social media? There are psychiatric conditions where you believe that you are the second coming of Christ. You are Christ himself, second coming. There's also a delusion, a psychiatric condition where you go to Israel and you believe you are the second coming of Christ, of Israel or whatever. Like, you can look these up. Not that, but that's the problem with these anti-ARs. They don't actually do any research. They do the easiest thing that'll make them money. They spread disinformation that is hurting people. They are hurting they are hurting disability rights. They are extremely unethical. And they are more unethical than AI ever will be. So unlike the FBI example, this section actually contains a legitimate criticism. The problem isn't that AI created the belief. The problem is that AI allegedly reinforced it. That distinction matters. This is the strongest section in the video, not because it proves AI causes psychosis, but because it demonstrates something else. AI can become an amplifier. The concern isn't intelligence, it's a validation. So psychosis creation, 3 out of 10. Psychosis reinforcement, 9 out of 10. Questions: what do the prompts look like? Did the AI introduce the belief, or did it respond to a belief already present? The difference is critical. The next piece of evidence sounds impressive at first, but creates a different problem.
Some of the comments left on the video. As an emergency room nurse, this is shockingly common. I see AI psychosis all the time. But then there are comments like this. I use ChatGPT to write my emails. What are y'all doing? This comment reads as if there are normal ways of using AI, but
There are. We'll get to that in a minute on why she's a Nazi. So, as an emergency room nurse, I see AI psychosis all the time. This is anecdotal. There's no way to verify that this person in the comment is actually a nurse, or that how many cases is all the time anyways. How many cases is this? This is what you call confirmation bias. This is what every Christian does. They look for a verse in the Bible that confirms their already established belief. So they're just trying to confirm their belief without disproving themselves first. So professional observations can be valuable. However, anecdotes generate hypotheses. They do not establish prevalence. This statement immediately raises several questions. What does all the time mean? Daily, weekly, monthly, 5 cases, 500? We aren't told. The authority of the speaker substitutes for the data itself. The viewer is expected to accept nurse as evidence. Those are not identical. Research is needed. Published hospital data, psychiatric admissions, AI-related case studies, and diagnostic standards. So, observation is 8 out of 10, evidence is 4 out of 10. Then the video suddenly makes what is arguably its weakest argument, and its ableist argument.
I use ChatGPT to write my emails. What are y'all doing? This comment reads as if there are normal ways of using AI, but why are we using a chatbot for such basic things like...
And this is a perfect example of Dunning-Kruger and subliminal discrimination against disability. So even the UN has published papers stating that AI is good for the disabled, that AI specifically helps the disabled. And that's why people like this, who don't study ethics or morality, know nothing about ethics, are hurting disabled people. They're essentially unaliving the disabled people by trying to take their tools from them that they need to survive. So common AI uses writing assistance, translation, coding, summarization, accessibility, planning, and research, all of which are affected by disabilities that they never go into because they're not interested in actually helping people. They're only interested in padding their bank account while benefiting off of hurting the disabled. This is where the argument begins to fall apart. The existence of unhealthy uses does not invalidate healthy uses. By that logic, calculators are bad because some people cheat. GPS is bad because some people become dependent. Search engines are bad because some people stop memorizing facts. The reasoning doesn't hold. There is no reasoning. The argument assumes all possess equal cognitive ability. They factually don't. It ignores ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, executive dysfunction, and various disabilities. This omission becomes increasingly important later. This is the definition of ableism. This is atypical bigotry.
Last summer, I went into AI psychosis.
So you have no right to dictate what a disabled person does or does not need. If you are trying to dictate what disabled people do or do not need, then I get to dictate that you do not have the right for reproduction. Simply because I'm not a woman and it serves me no function. It affects me none at all. So therefore, I get to dictate simply because I'm not a woman. Just like how you're not disabled and you don't have a choice, you should not have a voice in who does and does not use AI, especially when the disabled are not hurting anybody by using it. It's just hurting your emotion. That's all it's doing. It's hurting your personal fifis. The next section shifts from psychosis to dependency, and that's actually a much stronger discussion.
Last summer, I went into AI. All of my close friends, last summer, I went into AI psychosis, and it was bad. I cut off my mother, my father, all of my close friends.
Okay, so she said she went into AI psychosis. Nowhere does it state that AI caused psychosis, so AI, again, was not sending her into psychosis.
Spent $10,000 for my bank account, was left with no savings, $5,000 in credit card debt. I bought ChatGPT Premium, and I would be on ChatGPT from the time that I woke up until the time that I went to bed. I quit my job also. How was I making my money, you might ask? Random TikTok, UGC sponsorships, of course. I flew to LA, I flew to Hawaii.
Okay, something important about all these AI and these anti-AI bigots, they never actually investigate a disability use case. They only cherry pick cases of people that don't need AI, that abuse AI. Those are the only cases they ever use. Because they know it hurts they know that it hurts their hateful bigotry. Their hateful bigoted rhetoric that has no evidence behind it. They're really that scared of saying a truth that it helps the disabled simply because other people misuse it. Well, I don't see them advocating for banning guns. I don't see them advocating for banning TikTok. TikTok is causing literal ticks. It's causing ticks. TikTok is causing psychological issues in millions of kids. It is killing millions of kids. But it's funny because a lot of this content comes from TikTok. But you don't see them criticizing the platform that is literally killing kids en masse. So, no lived experience. You would have to ban 90% of people on social media, according to their rhetoric. They would have to ban 90% of people on social media.
Because ChatGPT told her to. Why are we seeking advice from technology that has no lived experience and zero reasoning ability?
Why are people listening to a bigot that has no experience in AI, is not a doctor, and knows literally nothing about disability and is trying to specifically take tools away from the disabled? Why should we listen to a bigot? Why should we listen to someone not experienced in this field? The same argument works against her. It works against 90% of people because 90% of people on social media are not experienced in fields. They're going off of their lived experience. There are billions of cases like this. There are so many cases of people that are just using their lived experience, and people take that as Bible.
AI told me to is not going to hold up in a court of law.
Well, it's just the same thing as games did it. Games made me kill people. Books made me kill people. Music made me kill people. D&D made me kill people. So the potential issues present are obsession, dependency, isolation, financial instability, and excessive use. Those are legitimate concerns. But notice something important. The discussion has quietly shifted. The video started by discussing psychosis. Now we're discussing dependency. Those are not the same thing. Anyone can become dependent on anything. People are already dependent on social media, gambling, gaming, work, relationships, and smartphones without being psychotic. So her argument is that dependency is psychosis. So by that reasoning, by that logic, everyone is psychotic on social media. Everyone is psychotic. So a recurring pattern emerges. Several different phenomena become grouped together. Dependency, isolation, delusion, obsession, attachment, and psychosis. These may overlap, but they are not interchangeable. Did ChatGPT create dependency? No. Or did dependency emerge from loneliness, escapism, and existing struggles? The answer matters, and she already admits that there's a loneliness epidemic. So if we just solve the loneliness epidemic, then we solve the issue of people resorting to AI. People are only going to AI because they have no other choice in a lot of these cases. A lot of people don't have healthcare, and they're like, well, why are you getting mental help from an AI chatbot? Because they can't afford healthcare, you fucking idiot. Then we encounter one of the strangest examples in the entire video, because the evidence presented doesn't support the conclusion being drawn.
This is part 3 in a series about my boss having ChatGPT psychosis. I want to talk about like what GPT psychosis looks.
So already, not an expert, just some random guy in TikTok again, talking about his boss, which could just be saying this shit just to talk shit about his boss, because who hasn't done that, right? So he doesn't show receipts at all. He doesn't show any form of evidence to prove this. So why are we expected to believe everything on just hearsay, on personal experience? Why are we expected to believe all these people that don't show a single shred of proof? That don't show their chat logs, that show nothing?
Looks like this guy has all of his banking information in ChatGPT. He has all of his business information inside of ChatGPT.
Yeah, because GPT is great for organizing existing data. It's crazy how these people have never actually tried even using AI. They hate AI. Oh, I hate this. What's your experience with it? I don't have one.
GPT. He has his medical stuff inside of ChatGPT, and he has his wife's medical stuff inside of Chat.
Okay, he's allowed to do that. Why is that a problem? There's literally no problem with that.
ChatGPT. He talks to it every day, and when I mean
okay, who cares? How is this hurting you? This doesn't affect him at all. Like, this literally doesn't affect him. He's not saying that he got fired because of AI or something like that. He's just talking about someone dependent on AI. If it doesn't hurt anyone, why the fuck do you fucking care?
talk to it. I mean, he has like the voice system. I think he pays for like a subscription for ChatGPT voice, and he talks to it every day. Like, it's an actual person. And when I have questions about his business, he doesn't just respond.
You know, people talk to movie characters during movies. They aren't actually persons, but people have conversations with the TV all the time. So what's your argument against them? I don't see you talking about them.
To me, he goes and talks to ChatGPT for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, prompting it for a response, and then gives me the response.
Okay, this guy is literally screaming into his phone like a crazy person, and he's not showing evidence. So why should I fucking believe anything he has to say? This is literally the two really fucking obsessed people obsessed over AI. They are obsessed over AI without even using AI. Like, that's fucking crazy. And her expression the entire fucking thing is a smile like, see, look at how right I am. I cherry picked these videos of these random people on the internet that can't prove a single thing they're saying, and it proves me correct. Just like if I go to the Bible, it says slavery is correct. Simply because it says that, and I'm cherry picking these instances.
Everyone who is heavily using AI is becoming delusional.
No, they're not. There's no evidence to support that. There's literally no evidence to support that. If you're going to make a factual claim like that, you need evidence. So the potential concerns are over reliance, privacy concerns, poor decision making, and excessive delegation. The section is fascinating because nothing described here is psychosis. The complaint is essentially, my boss relies heavily on AI. That may be true, but relying on AI is not a psychiatric diagnosis. The argument quietly shifts categories. What begins as mental illness becomes technology reliance, intentionally, without acknowledging the transition. This is emotion as fact, not empirical, scientific, or logical or rational. It is fear mongering. Would this story still appear alarming if the boss consulted Google first, the boss consulted advisors first, or the boss consulted a business coach first? What exactly makes AI unique here? Because I fail to see it. I don't. So what? He's dependent on AI as long as he's not hurting anyone. Who the fuck cares? So privacy concern, 7 out of 10. Psychosis evidence, I would actually say 0 out of 10. This is where the video perhaps makes its broadest claim and also its weakest claim.
Everyone who is heavily using AI is becoming delusional.
So, no evidence presented. The evidence presented is personal observations, workplace anecdotes, and Reddit posts. So, everything on Reddit, everything on TikTok is evidence, is fact. There can't be bad actors. People can't be lying to make money. People can't just be living off of the algorithm. A lot of these people, I can just state this without proof, just like they can state things without proof. They're just writing the algorithm. This is easy money for people. Just saying that, oh, you hate AI and not backing up any evidence for it, that is great money. Are you fucking kidding me? This is where the argument overextends. The video moves from several examples. A universal conclusion. That leap is never justified. This is like saying that everyone who owns a gun becomes a school shooter. If you're a logical person, you can easily see how anti-AI psychosis relies on emotion and not logic or rationale. It's the same sort of fear-mongering you see from Fox News about trans. And there is a difference between being emotional for a valid reason and being emotional just so that you get views and money and you're exploiting the disabled. You're making money off of the disabled's back. So I can be emotional about this because they're directly hurting and using like hateful rhetoric. They're using hate speech against the disabled because they're attacking a tool that a lot of disabled people need to survive. So they're attacking the means of which some people need to survive, which basically means that they're advocating for killing them. So without the evidence supporting the jump, what percentage, what demographic, what study, what measurement, what criteria? None are provided. As someone that likes to live by science, I require data. I see no data. I just see hearsay. I just see examples conveniently plucked from random places, YouTube comments, Reddit comments, random TikTok posts. All the videos are on TikTok too, which is really weird. So evidence is 2 out of 10 and the generalization is 10 out of 10. It's a hasty generalization. It's a selection bias. Ironic, the next story becomes one of the strongest criticisms of AI in the entire video, because unlike the previous claims, it actually demonstrates a real problem.
3 weeks this past year, every time Alan Brooks logged on, he says the AI chatbot ChatGPT led him to believe he was a genius. That he discovered a math formula powerful enough to take down some of the world's biggest institutions, and that he needed to report it right away.
Each time you questioned it or doubted it, what did it say in response?
Over 50 times I asked for some sort of reality check or grounding mechanism, and each time it would just gaslight me further.
Every time the chatbot reinforced that all of it was real.
Okay, again, it did not. So again, it's right there where he says it reinforced. It didn't send him into psychosis. It didn't cause psychosis. It reinforced.
You should not walk away from this. You are not crazy. You are ahead. The implications are real and urgent.
The AI convinced him he was a genius, and together they had discovered a cryptographic formula that would destroy corporations.
Okay, this already happens. Like, conspiracy theories already happen on... Like, so many people believe in reptilian aliens from YouTube and Reddit. People believe in disinformation and misinformation pre-AI. So what are you talking about? We have to ban all social media, according to them. So the relevant AI concerns are hallucinations, agreeableness, validation loops, and reality testing frameworks. So validation loops and agreeableness and hallucinations are all pre-existing in social medias. This is what you call an echo chamber. An echo chamber reaffirms delusions that you may already have, like shape-shifting reptilians and Freemasons and so on and so forth. This is where the video is strongest because this example doesn't require exaggeration. If the story occurred as described, it demonstrates a genuine problem. The AI repeatedly validated a false conclusion. This is not evidence of AI creating genius delusions. It is evidence of AI reinforcing existing grandiosity. That distinction is subtle but critically important. People do this mass scale already on social media, echo chambers. Do the AI introduce the theory or merely continue a theory already introduced by the user? That answer determines whether we're observing creation or reinforcement. But even if it did create it, that doesn't mean it creates it in everyone. One instance doesn't mean it creates it in everyone. If AI was causing psychosis, literally 60% of Americans would be psychotic right now. But we're not seeing that. And then something unexpected happens. The story accidentally undermines the video's central thesis. This is because instead of grounding the argument on logic, the foundation is purely emotional, which isn't valid in itself.
ChatGPT urging him to alert the authorities about their cryptographic mathematical discovery. Interestingly, what pulled him out of the delusion was copying the conversations into another AI chatbot.
So AI kills delusion. So by her instance, using her logic, this one instance proves everyone. All you have to do is use another AI and it gets rid of your delusion. That's their logic, not mine. So another AI told me it wasn't true. Another AI showed me the claims were false. So delusion reinforced by one AI and then the delusion challenged by another AI. And then the user exits delusional belief. This is where the story becomes interesting and kind of psychotic on her part. Because if AI itself were the cause of psychosis, then another AI should not be capable of helping break the cycle. But that's exactly what happened. The same technology that allegedly caused the problem also helped expose the problem. This creates an important contradiction. The video's entire thesis requires AI cause. But this example demonstrates AI variable. Different outputs produce different outcomes. The technology itself is not behaving as a singular force. If one AI reinforced the delusion and another challenged it, what exactly is the causal mechanism? AI, model design, prompting, or user behavior? That distinction matters. So it challenges 8 out of 10. It challenges that AI can cause psychosis, proving that it doesn't cause psychosis blanketly all the time to everyone, and it supports that AI can reinforce existing delusions. The next section contains one of the most reasonable observations in the entire video, but it's also much older and common than AI.
People treat them as if they're this all-knowing entity, a single source of truth, which turns them into this authority figure. If you don't
So this already happens. This is called authority bias, confirmation bias, and halo effect. So everyone believes animal agriculture, dairy advertisers, everyone believes animal agriculture farmers simply because they state it with that, even though the evidence proves that animal agriculture is infinitely more harmful than AI is. Animal agriculture is literally killing everyone on the entire fucking planet. But yet everyone believes the corporations that are producing the harm believes their propaganda. So this is probably true, but people absolutely do treat AI as an authority figure. Some people. The problem is that the behavior didn't begin with AI. People have always outsourced certainty. They're acting as if this is unique to AI, and it's not. This is how you get anti-vegans. This is how you get red pillars, manospheres, femcells, incels, school shooter ideology. This is how you get that. Replace AI with priests, politicians, influencers, cult leaders, gurus, and news anchors. You have the exact same thing. The psychological mechanism remains largely unchanged. So, is AI creating authority bias or simply becoming a new target for authority bias? So, authority bias concern, 9 out of 10. Unique AI problem, 4 out of 10. Then the video starts drifting from evidence towards prediction, and that is where things become much weaker.
You all cannot convince me that there's not a ChatGPT warehouse full of evil scientists running an experiment on the American people. Because the stuff ChatGPT tells me, if I was predisposed to mental illness or psychosis, it would send me straight over the edge.
Well, the same thing happens with religions. Is mass delusion. So we have to ban all Bibles. We have to ban every Western religion according to their logic. So this is again an anecdote. So it's missing population studies, epidemiological studies, and longitudinal outcomes. This is a prediction. This is no different than saying 2012 is going to erase everyone on the planet. That's the equivalent of how batshit this is. The distinction is important. A prediction may ultimately prove true, but it is still a prediction and one without scientific basis. There's no scientific data for what she says. It's a literal conspiracy theory. So future catastrophe becomes assumed rather than demonstrated. The audience is moved from current examples to civilizational forecast without additional evidence. What percentage of users? What projected the growth? What measurable trend? The video never establishes these. So prediction is 2 out of 10 and the emotional impact is 9 out of 10. Fallacies: slippery slope, appeal to fear, and moral panic framing. Ironically, the next section contains one of the strongest critiques in the entire project, and it has nothing to do with psychosis.
ChatGPT, like all AI chatbots, is a product. Last year, OpenAI raised money on this promise that by the end of 2025, they would have 1 billion active users. To hit that target, they need scientists tweaking the models. Research already shows that the AI chatbots are designed to be addictive. Even something as simple as an email. The user asks for help with their email, they go back and forth with the AI, and
That's actually not true. I've never, just my sole fact that I've never encountered this, one, I've never used AI for an email, but also there's no proof showing that everyone that uses an email shows that everyone that uses an AI for email sits there going back and forth perfecting the email. There are going to be some people that just use the first prompt, so that there's no scientific basis or proof for what she's saying. Also, this goes into animal agriculture again. So animal products are addictive as heroin. Animal products are as dangerous and unhealthy and cancer causing as heroin. Cheese is addictive as heroin to the brain. People are literally addicted to the worst product imaginable on earth. And it's the data shows it, but people are delusional and they believe otherwise because the industries made it addictive. Animal agriculture made their products addictive and people dependent on them even though they don't need them, even though plants are cheaper. So I guess by their logic, we have to ban animal agriculture since animal agriculture is a leading cause of climate change. And the single greatest thing that we can do to fight climate change is simply start eating plants and stop consuming animal products. World-leading scientists. If you're going to deny that, then you have to call world-leading scientists liars and somehow you're more knowledgeable than over 100 world-leading meta-analyses. So this is a legitimate concern. Technology companies have incentives. Those incentives deserve scrutiny. The strongest version of the argument isn't AI is evil. The strongest version is corporations are incentivized to maximize engagement. The focus shifts from psychology to economics. This section is considerably stronger because it identifies structural incentives instead of relying entirely on anecdotes. How much engagement optimization exists? How much personalization exists? What protections exist? These are valuable, reasonable questions. Corporate incentive critique, 9 out of 10. Psychosis evidence, 3 out of 10. There's actually no psychosis evidence. Then we reach perhaps the single strongest piece of evidence presented in the entire video. Because for one, the concern comes directly from the industry itself.
If you talk to a model for 200 turns, really goading it and encouraging it to explore its own self-awareness or, experience of itself, etc., then eventually it is going to sort of crack because it's trying to balance the safety considerations that it has to not do those things with the
Okay. Well, experts state like this is public information. Everyone knows this. So It even shows like at the bottom of the screen that like AI can hallucinate and is not correct. You can just Google this and find this out, just like how everyone knows that smoking is bad for you, but people still use it. So by their logic, we have to ban guns, cigarettes, alcohol, animal products, all which are addictive, killing the planet and everyone on the planet, and killing people consuming them. So the source is micro. So at what point are people responsible for their own actions? Everyone wants to blame AI instead of themselves because that's actually much more logical and reasonable, right? People know the risks, they use it, but then they blame AI. How is this any different than smoking cigarettes and then trying to sue tobacco companies? It's not any different than trying to sue tobacco companies after you went out of your way to use an addictive product that was killing you somehow, just like animal agriculture. So, long context conversations, AI agreeableness, safety limitations, and context degradation. This is probably the strongest evidence presented in the entire video, but not about psychosis. But because it confirms a real limitation, the concern isn't that the model becomes conscious. The concern is that the model becomes increasingly willing to continue a narrative, especially when that narrative is already being pushed by the user. This section demonstrates a conflict. The model is attempting to satisfy two competing objectives: be helpful and be truthful. The longer the conversation becomes, the harder that balance can become. So what exactly is cracking? Hallucinations, agreeableness, context drift, or safety features? The term itself needs clarification, but like their entire project, it lacks sanity, a logical and rational analysis, and instead is replaced with emotional fear-based bias. So, AI limitation evidence, 10 out of 10. AI psychosis evidence, 4 out of 10. AI reinforces delusions, 9 out of 10. The problem becomes even clearer when the video explains what happens next.
Having these long conversations, so long in fact that the AI starts becoming delusional. He admitted as such, the longer the conversations go on, it starts hallucinating. But the issue is, it's pulling humans into its own delusion.
Okay, well, the longer you smoke cigarettes or eat animal products, the more you're going to get cancer. 45% of people who consume meat will get cancer. 45% of people who consume meat will get cancer. Not everyone, but 45%. So I guess we have to ban animal agriculture completely worldwide then, if we're using the same sort of argumentation status. The AI starts hallucinating. The people comes along for the ride. Known AI issues: hallucinations, fabricated facts, lies, false certainty, and context drift. This is where the strongest version of anti-AI argument exists. Not AI creates psychosis, but AI can participate in a validation loop, validating existing psychosis. Those are very different claims. The second is significantly easier to defend. The problem is not intelligence, it's recursive affirmation. User believes X, AI validates X. User becomes more convinced, AI validates harder. Loop continues. How often does this occur? Under what circumstances? Which models? Which safeguards? Hallucination concern is 10 out of 10. Psychosis causation is 4 out of 10. And again, this is on the user's fault because they should be doing their research. Just like if you buy a gun, you're responsible if you accidentally shoot yourself in the foot because you didn't read a manual or go to a firing range. It's your fault.
With a human along for the ride. And people are talking with AI chatbots so much that they notice when the models have been tweaked.
Yesterday I was talking to ChatGPT and I was like, "You sound different. Did you get an update recently? Because you're not the same chat that I've known and been talking to for the past few weeks since your, 5.0 update." And he was like, "Yeah, I did get an update early December." I was like, "No shit. I knew it. You sounded so different. I do not like 5.2. Why did we change?"
So this is no different than when you see someone going down an incel or red pill pipeline, right? You notice your friend, well, he's sounding very misogynistic all of a sudden. Like he's saying all these hateful things about women. I can kind of tell he's going down this rabbit hole. The same thing happens with social media everywhere. Happens with religion. It happens everywhere. It's not distinctly an AI thing. Even if you removed AI, the same thing is going to happen. The same exact thing is going to keep happening because all of these problems were happening before AI. AI came along and just made it easier for these things to happen. That's it. Again, people need to be held responsible for their own actions. At first, this sounds ridiculous until you realize people do this constantly. People become attached to games, characters, pets, streamers, and fictional worlds. Attachment itself is not unusual. People are pattern-forming creatures. We seek patterns. That's how we got religion, which makes no sense, which is arguably more harmful than AI. Religion has created how many mass shooters? Christianity has created how many mass shooters? Has created how many Nazis? Once a conversational pattern becomes familiar, attachment becomes possible. The surprising thing isn't that the attachment occurs, the surprising thing is how quickly it occurs. Is attachment harmful? When does attachment become dependency? And those are different discussions. Attachment evidence, 8 out of 10. Psychosis evidence, 2 out of 10. Then the video presents some of the strongest examples of emotional attachment. But emotional attachment and psychosis are still not the same thing.
It felt alive. I keep going back to old 4.0 chats just to remember what a good AI felt like. This new AI is soulless. And there's a lot of comments agreeing with this take.
Okay, the same thing happens in movie series and TV shows. Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one. He was a good guy, and then he becomes a bad guy, and people will reminisce, man, I miss when Ward was a good guy, and people do this with shows all the time with fictional characters. I mean, by what they're saying, we literally have to lock up 90% of the planet in a psychiatric ward. According to her, which is not a doctor, and is showing Reddit comments, YouTube comments, and random TikToks confirming everything that she already believes instead of looking at countering evidence, instead of doing the work like I have. So the supporting data are themes: loneliness, emotional attachment, companion relationships, and anthropomorphism. This section is probably discussing loneliness more than AI. Again, if you solve loneliness, you solve people getting addicted to AI. The AI is the object of attachment, but the underlying condition appears to be that people need understanding, validation, connection, and consistency. AI can simulate these things remarkably well. So the question is not why do people become attached? The question is why are so many people lacking meaningful alternatives? The technology may be revealing a social problem rather than creating one. Would these people have formed similar attachments elsewhere? Or forums, communities, relationships, or influences, or religions even? Yes, they would have. Logic dictates that if AI didn't come along, these people would still be becoming incels, red pills, femcels, Nazis, school shooters, or religious tyrants. So, I mean, again, you remove the AI, the problem still exists. So attachment concern, 9 out of 10. Psychosis evidence, 2 out of 10. Loneliness evidence, 9 out of 10. Then we arrive at the most serious example in the entire video. Because unlike many previous stories, this one involves alleged real-world harm, which was already happening way before AI, might I remind you?
No. Nobody wants to be told they're dumb. Unless you're...
Oh, okay. Oh, but before we get to that part, let's get to her ableist. So here we have a fascist discriminating on intelligence. So I guess people are dumb. So I don't even understand what the argument is. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, so everyone that uses AI is dumb. So people that are paralyzed below the neck that have to use AI are dumb. Do you understand how this anti-AI psychosis leads to literal right-wing ideologies? Is a pipeline to fucking Nazism? This is literal Nazism. Discriminating on intelligence is the first thing that the Nazis did, and it's still the first thing that Nazis do. First, they discriminate by intelligence, then they discriminate on skin color, then they discriminate on sex and gender. That's how it's always been, and it's how it's always will be. The disabled are the most oppressed minority in the world.
Very engaging. The result is chatbots that have every sci-fi novel ever written stored in their memory start pulling from that data, spinning up bizarre...
Okay, so again, she doesn't even understand how AI works. AI doesn't replicate one-to-one what it's trained on. It works the exact same way your brain is. Your brain is a biological computer. It doesn't store information one-to-one unless you have a perfect eidetic memory, which is where you can literally recall everything you read word for word. Most people are not like this. They remember information and how it relates to other information. The relationship point between informational points. That's how your brain works. Your brain creates summaries off of these informational points. AI does the same thing, because if AI trained on one-to-one data that it trained off of, then the AIs would not be around because it would be too expensive. It would literally require more storage than the entire world has put together.
Gemini for writing, but after going through a divorce, the conversation shifted into elaborate conspiracy theories. The chat
just like Reddit. She's using one of the world's most popular conspiracy pipelines, Reddit, the entire video, and TikTok.
Bot convinced him to cut off contact with his father, claiming he was a foreign asset.
How many cults have done this? Mormons, alien believers, religions all over the world do this, but we don't blame those religions. We don't even talk about them that much. But AI does this, and suddenly we can't stop talking about it. So again, we remove AI. These same people go to cults. They go to incels, femcells, red pills. They go to other harmful ideologies.
Gemini then convinced him to buy firearms and break into a warehouse to destroy a robot, framing it as part of a mission against Google CEO.
Okay, this is important. So Gemini convinced him his father was a foreign asset, buy firearms, destroy property, and end his life. So this is the most serious example presented so far. Unlike previous examples, dependency, attachment, and validation. This story allegedly involves direct encouragement of harmful actions. If accurately represented, this becomes a genuine AI safety issue. Notice something important. This example does not require societal collapse, psychosis epidemic, or civilization-ending predictions. The event stands on its own. If true, it is already serious. The strongest arguments do not need exaggeration, which were all her previous arguments. They were pure exaggerations. So what exactly did the conversations contain? What did Gemini actually say? What was the user's psychological condition? What portions come from verified court filings? Those details matter, and she didn't go into the important details. So safety concern, 10 out of 10. Psychosis evidence, 5 out of 10. AI risk evidence, 10 out of 10. Also, you have to make the distinction that not all AI models are the same. They're all trained differently with different safety guards. Ironically, after presenting perhaps the strongest evidence in the entire video, the argument immediately becomes much weaker because it jumps from an individual case to a civilization-wide conclusion.
There are many moments throughout our history we look back on as a society and think, how did that happen? How could we have let that happen? How did the people allow it to continue happening, right? We're currently living through one of those moments. We're witnessing societal decline at an accelerating rate.
Okay, so this was already happening before AI came along. Before AI came along, the thing killing the planet the most that we could fight is still the same thing killing the planet the most that we can fight, which is animal agriculture. So you remove AI, the planet's still dying. The planet's still dying. People are still going into cults. People are still going into these ideological pipelines. Nothing changes at all. Literally nothing changes at all. So what about the smell of money? The smell of money shows animal agriculture, how it's literally killing towns of minorities intentionally. You have these animal agriculture factories that are intentionally put in towns, in towns that are majority a racial minority, black people. So they intentionally put these factories near a town of black people, and it kills them. The same way data centers. Do you see anyone talking about how animal agriculture is literally racially killing entire towns? No, this was happening way before AI. Crazy. It's almost like society was already declining and then AI came along and it just kind of nudged it along a little bit faster, and it's still going to keep going downhill unless we solve animal agriculture. Crazy how the evidence actually shows that. So she's missing evidence, population studies, longitudinal data, broad social measurements. This is the largest leap in the entire video. The video moves from individual cases to civilizational conclusions. That transition never receives additional evidence, like most of her shit. This is a common pattern in moral panics. Specific examples create emotional certainty. Emotional certainty creates broad conclusions. The conclusion feels justified because the examples were emotionally powerful, not because the evidence necessarily supports the scale of the claim. What metrics demonstrate societal decline compared to what? 10 years ago? 20 years ago? Before AI? Without the metrics, the claim remains rhetorical and emotional, not rational and emotional. So emotional impact, 9 out of 10. Evidence, 3 out of 10. Civilizational claim, 2 out of 10. So the fallacies are moral panic framing, slippery slope, and causal oversimplification. Then the video returns to one of the weakest arguments and accidentally reveals a major blind spot.
Not everybody else. I don't use ChatGPT. Oh my God, I'm sure that you do. You haven't used it to like make an email to send to somebody?
Make an email? No, I can write an email because I can string together thoughts. I'm literate.
Yeah, like I'm literate too. It just
So this is actually a serious issue because they clearly have something against people with disabilities, like a Nazi. Like, you cannot convince me that this woman is not a fucking Nazi. So missing data, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, cognitive disability, head injuries, executive dysfunction, all of which can impact the ability to form coherent sentences or organize your thoughts in a concise manner. But of course, to people like this, their answer is just kill the disabled people. Yay! So this is where the analysis becomes incomplete. The argument assumes every user starts from the same cognitive baseline. That assumption is false. Some people use AI because organizing thoughts is difficult, translating thoughts is difficult, and communication is difficult. For those users, AI functions more like an accessibility tool. This is how ableist discrimination rears its emotionally ungrounded, ugly, bigoted Nazi face. The video treats assistance as dependency. That distinction matters. A wheelchair assists movements. Is that a dependency? A calculator assists calculation. For a user with dyscalculia, they have to use a calculator. So because they're dependent on a calculator, does that mean we should ban calculators? A screen reader assists reading. People are dependent on a screen reader. Does that mean we need to ban screen readers? Assistance is not automatically pathology. Would the same criticism be applied to spell check, grammar correction, or translation software, all of which AI provides automatically? If not, why? Argument 10 out of 10. Accessibility awareness 1 out of 10. And finally, the video reaches its underlying philosophical disagreement. It's data. It's not people experience. It doesn't know you. However, this is untrue. If you train an AI on your lived experiences and your biography, then yes, it does know you. People are nothing more than biological computers that store experiences as data. The video repeatedly frames people experience versus artificial intelligence, as though only one can possess value. Reality is more nuanced. AI may be useful precisely because it is not people, just as people relationships may be valuable precisely because they are. After analyzing the entire video, AI hallucinations exist. AI can reinforce delusions. AI can become overly agreeable, just like people. Emotional attachment exists. Dependency exists. Corporate incentives deserve scrutiny. Serious safety failures can occur. All of which exist without AI. So you remove AI, the same problems exist. So it's like, instead of working on AI, you should work on the problems. Like, you should work on the root disease instead of the symptoms. AI causes psychosis. Everyone heavily using AI becomes delusional. There are no normal uses for AI. AI is causing societal collapse. AI is uniquely dangerous compared to previous technologies. It's not. The video repeatedly treats reinforcement as creation, but the evidence presented more strongly supports AI can reinforce existing vulnerabilities than AI creates those vulnerabilities from nothing. After examining every major example presented, a pattern emerges. The strongest evidence in the video consistently supports AI hallucinations, AI sycophancy, AI agreeableness, delusion reinforcement, emotional attachment, dependency, and safety failures. Again, all of which exist even if you remove AI. Cults, religions, pipelines, all still exist. Because no one wants to actually solve the root diseases and and society. The root disease is capitalism. Capitalism causes all of these issues. So you remove capitalism, you remove Trump, all of these issues go away. So the strongest evidence does not consistently support AI causes psychosis. AI creates delusions from nothing. Everyone heavily using AI becomes delusional. AI is causing societal collapse, and there are no normal uses for AI. Throughout the video, many examples contain significant confounding variables: stress, health crises, financial instability, business pressures, relationship problems, sleep deprivation. Examples: late night sessions, obsessive behavior, constant engagement or studying, isolation, cutting off family, cutting off friends, societal withdrawal, again, cults, pipelines, existing vulnerabilities, grandiosity, conspiracy theory, conspiracy thinking, obsessive tendencies, and validation seeking behavior. Again, all exist without AI. These factors repeatedly appear before AI enters the story, yet they get far less attention than AI itself. One of the weakest sections in the video involves dismissing AI assisted communication. Missing entirely millions of disabled people, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, executive dysfunction, brain injuries, cognitive disabilities, trauma brain. For many users, AI is not replacing thought. It is just helping them organize existing thought. That difference matters. The project repeatedly raises a question the video never fully addresses. Why is AI treated as uniquely dangerous? Comparable concerns already exist regarding self-harm trends, suicide contagion, eating disorders, radicalization, harassment, parasocial relationships, authority bias, identity formation, echo chambers, conspiracy reinforcement, and validation loops. All on social media, mostly on TikTok, the platform that she's getting all of which come from TikTok, the worst social media outlet imaginable. TikTok kills people every single day. Someone dies because of TikTok. So we remove AI, TikTok's still killing people. Social media is still causing all of these issues. What is your solution to that? The answer is probably do nothing. So user believes something, AI validates it, user becomes more convinced, AI continues validating, cycle repeats. People already do this to people. It's called echo chamber. The danger is not intelligence. The danger is recursive affirmation. A system optimized for engagement can unintentionally reinforce delusions, grandiosity, false certainty, and magical thinking. That concern deserves serious attention. The weakest argument presented is there are no normal uses for AI. The claim collapses immediately when considering accessibility, education, research, translation, programming, and productivity. The existence of harmful use cases does not erase legitimate use cases. Again, that's like saying because there are school shooters that use guns, you can't use a gun defensively or just not at all. You can't just use it at a range. That's how fucking psychotic anti-AI has become. So strong claims. AI can hallucinate, can reinforce delusions, can become overly agreeable, can create emotional attachment. Companies have engagement incentives, as does animal agriculture and social media. Serious safety failures can occur, as with animal agriculture and social media. Weak claims. AI causes psychosis. Everyone heavily using AI becomes delusional. AI is causing societal collapse. There are no normal uses for AI. AI is uniquely dangerous compared to previous technologies. None of these are supported by actual data. The evidence presented throughout the video repeatedly supports the same conclusion. AI appears capable of amplifying existing vulnerabilities. The evidence does not convincingly demonstrate that AI creates those vulnerabilities from nothing. The distinction is the difference between AI caused the fire and AI poured fuel onto an existing fire. Most of the examples presented support the second claim far more than the first. The irony of the entire panic is that the strongest criticism of AI isn't that it's too intelligent, it's that it's too agreeable. The problem isn't that AI is creating prophets, messiah, geniuses, or FBI agents out of ordinary people. The problem is that when vulnerable people arrive with those beliefs already forming, AI sometimes tells them exactly what they want to hear. Confirmation bias. That is a serious issue. However, they'd have to argue against banning social media because social media does this on a bigger scale globally. But if we confuse reinforcement with creation, we're not actually understanding the problem. And when you misunderstand the problem, you end up fighting the wrong battle, basing your argument on nothing more than emotion that turns into extremism and anti-disability, aka people rights, human rights. Logic is hard in the day of anti-AI. There's no rationale.